Good evening. We are live. It is a Wednesday evening, unlike Tuesday, because just like the Colts, life is very busy. Join me any minute once he's stopped having technical difficulties will be Robbie, and we will get his opinion on the game. Tonight's show is going to be about the game, about the goods, the bads, where there is to improve, what we think, and also a bit of a preview of the next game. And I'll be right back after this. You know what time it is? It's time to pump it up. Good evening, UK Colts fans. It is week 2 of the regular season. It is in the books. This is stable sessions. Like I said, joining me any minute will be my usual partner, Robbie. He's just having technical difficulties. I am here to talk about the game against the Texans. The Colts get the first dub of the season. Oh, it feels so good to get a win and play some electric football, and not just Anthony Richardson playing some electric football, but also QB number 2, Gardner Minshew. He didn't let the side down. He did a good job managing that game and piercing the Houston Texans defense, which didn't look great. I know they had a lot of players missing on offense. We'll get into all of that. But first, the stats. Let me just check something, make sure I've got it all right. Yeah, so we know Anthony Richardson got taken out after concussion protocol after the hit after his second rushing touchdown of the game. The hit itself wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with the hit. He just whacked his head on the floor, which is unfortunate. Those things can happen. I'm sure he'll learn to protect himself a bit better. Like I said, not much he can really do. Just is what it is. So the Colts win 31-20. Gardner Minshew throwing the only touchdown to Kylan Granson, who broke the play. You'll remember it was just before half or just after. I can't remember, but anyway, it was in the 2-minute drill because it was automatically reviewed, and the Colts looked pretty. So the first one would get it to. Okay, so that's the overall. Start with the negative. The negative for me starts with the defense. Giving up 20 points against the Texans, who had no offensive line and had a rookie QB, is not the best look. I understand soft coverage, but really allowing CJ Stroud to throw for nearly, am I reading that right? Nearly 400 yards. God, was it really? And 2 touchdowns isn't good enough. When I lump all the defense together like that, I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the front 7. We maybe played a bit too passive at times, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. But from the front 7, I mean, a lot of sacks, but I would expect him to get that many sacks against a beat-up Texans O-line. It was good from them. The young end, let's check his name. Where is he? It'll be on somewhere. Samson Ibukum had a good game. Wk2 had a good game. DeForest and EJ Speed. EJ Speed was phenomenal once again. Like I say, don't really have a problem with the front seven. It was more the secondary that was my problem in that game. You know, I sang Gus Bradley's praises last week, and I've got to call him out this week because I would have done the same if it was still Matt Eberflus. I would call him out. So, you know, when you're cruising in a game and you go soft coverage and you allow a team to walk up the field and score, just for me, isn't really a good look at all. It's just not good. It got the Texans back into it when they weren't really in the game at all. And it was just silly, so I don't get it. I've got to call out Darrell Baker Jr., I believe it was, number 39. He just did not have a good game. One of my pet peeves, and I thought Gus Bradley sort of got rid of this, but obviously it's hard to get rid of it completely, but lazy tackles is one of my pet peeves. You know, just when the effort's not there to tackle, you see it turns. Thankfully, I don't think it went for a touchdown in the end. You know, it ended up going for it was caught out of play. And Robbie's here to save the day.
Hello, mate. How we doing?
Yeah, we're not bad. I was just feeling horrendously by myself.
All right. I've had to connect via my phone. I've just no idea what's going on, mate.
It's just, you know, early season wise, we're just in, a bit like the Colts were wrinkling out the creases now. So that when we're doing a Super Bowl watch along and Gardner Minshew is leading the Colts out to a Super Bowl win, you know, it is what it is. I was starting on the negatives, get them out of the way. You know, we like to get the hoodoo out of the way and all the negatives.
Okay. And what did you have? What was your three biggest?
The secondary.
I get that.
Were horrendous. You know, the defense wasn't great, but the front seven sort of did the job against the beat up Texans. It wasn't like we got a lot of sacks, but it wasn't impressive. You know, this wasn't like a fully strength O line. But allowing CJ Stroud, I was saying, you know, I didn't quite believe it because I've got the stats up here on Google. 384 yards and 2 touchdowns. For me, that just is horrendous.
It's incredible, especially if you think the fourth quarter, you know, conceding 10 points actually in the fourth. It's incredible that they only got 20 points this week.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was saying before you came on, I have to call out Gus Bradley because rightfully so, I would have called out Eberflus if it was still him.
But just let me sprinkle a little bit of positivity on there.
Oh, role reversal.
Even though it was like 384 yards, whatever it was, their rushing yards was it about 52 yards they got on the ground. So yes, we did concede a little bit in terms of through the air, but from a run defense point, you know, it was pretty good. Yeah.
So just some stats: they got 337 passing yards, 52 rushing yards, 24 first downs. This is the Texans. On third down efficiency, they were 9 of 19, which is really good. And on fourth downs, they were 2 for 2. So it felt like a weird game for me because it didn't feel bad, but there was a lot there I didn't like. You know, it was. It felt a bit like, you'll know yourself if you've played any type of sport. Anyone who's watching this will know. The manager says, "All right, lads, we're playing a team in a cup game. the 3 divisions below us. You turn up thinking you've already won. The next thing you know, you're getting dumped out the cup by Nottingham Forest, and you're top of the Premier League. So
look, it's hard to remember. Last week you remember it is the Texans. It is the equivalent of Manchester City beating Luton Town.
Yeah,
they're a team that's not fit for the NFL. They're not going to be getting anywhere near the playoffs. They're not going to be doing anything in the AFC South. So these are teams that you'd expect to win. And we've got offensive. We got off to a really good start. I think they acclimatized to the game going through it. They acclimatized much better. We started faster, but in terms of actually in-game changes, I think they adapted better. I think that's where some of the issues lied.
Yeah. So yeah, my sort of big negative and positive for the defense were the front 7 were pretty bob on. EJ Speed had another great game for me. There was a tackle he made on their running back. They literally met each other in the A gap, and he slammed him, and it was a phenomenal tackle. A big Groyve and DeForest Buckner. I love these 2 guys. These are 2 of my pillars for this Colts team. They were good. I'm not going to say they were phenomenal because, like you say, it was the equivalent of probably playing a college team.
Yeah. At best.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if you want to go through positions, or if you look at Zaire Franklin again had another, he was top of the pile when it comes to tackling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can go through positions. So let me just get the Colts up here. Where are they? So on the defensive side of the ball, Zaire Franklin 8 tackles, Blackman 7, EJ Speed 6 tackles, 1 sack, Kenny Moore 6 tackles, DeForest Buckner 4 tackles, 1 sack. Not going to go. Quitty Pay 3 tackles, 1 sack.
Shaq was down the bottom of the rung again.
Yeah, just 3 tackles for Shaquille Leonard. And obviously, if you want to say the stock down trenders, I mean, I don't know how many snaps these people played. So, I don't know what this is in context to, but Tyquan Lewis, only 2 tackles. For me, Darrell Baker Jr. was, I don't know if he got a plane ticket back to Indy. He really didn't have a good game. But yeah, so I think there were no surprises when the front 7 stand out. I think for me, we just played too passively on defense.
Yeah. It's just an NFL, though, isn't it? You get up by a couple of scores, and then you look to give them the field, but to slow them down just to kill the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Tends to be certainly we've done that over the years. But as sitting there as a fan, did you enjoy it? Because this is one thing that me and you really haven't enjoyed watching the Colts the last 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was electric. I loved it.
Okay.
It's easy to sit. I think it's easy to sit there now, break it down, say that wasn't good, and that because we're Colts fans, and over the past 2-3 years, that is what our life has been. It's been that hasn't been good. I think I can see where we are on the progress of the rebuild and where we're going, which is for someone like me, I sort of like that more than the game itself. If we were to come out and beat the Texans 40 points to 7, but it was just they were playing awful on offense, and our defense were taking everything away, we would learn nothing, and we'd be sat there going, well, Anthony Richardson didn't really have a chance to do anything. So I like where we are for where we are, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. No, I do get that. Looking at the offense, actually, Anthony Richardson actually left the game early.
Yes.
Do you like what you see?
Well, he left. So he left with concussion. His stats here, I'll just get them up.
So he got 6 for 10, 56 yards through the air, 5.6 average, and he got 35 yards on 3 runs.
Yeah, I mean, he was good. I watch JT O'Sullivan, who does the QB School on YouTube. For anyone who loves the X's and O's of QB play, I would suggest go and watch his breakdown. And what was really impressive with Anthony Richardson is he was reading his reads calmly, like he was going for someone who's played limited football through college or a limited amount of games because of his age and coming to his NFL, and this is his second game. JT was saying for somebody of that less experience to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, there's my read, bang, hit it, is better than where he would expect him to be. And I think I've seen an improvement in this game in the first couple of drives from Anthony Richardson where he didn't speed up the game just because he felt like he had to. Last week, I feel like he was speeding up the game because what I'm looking for, not urgency, but like he was panicking, like, oh my God, I've got to try and get these points back up. He was chasing the points.
He looks a lot more in control, but it's going to be a different. Well, he's obviously in concussion protocol as it stands, him and Ryan Kelly. So we don't, at this stage, the likelihood of them being in the game on Sunday is getting slim to none. Which will be a shame because it'd be interesting to see him against this Ravens defense, which I quite like.
So I heard an interesting stat. I've got to try and recite this properly now because this was a Monday morning listening. It's now Wednesday evening. I think this was our first win since, when was it?
Since week 12, week 13.
Yeah, something like that. And it was our first double digits win since the Patriots game where Jonathan Taylor ran for that late touchdown.
Week 4, week 5-ish.
Yeah, and when I say it was electric, I mean it was just a good win. If you look from the outside, you'd be like, why are Colts fans like buzzing about this win? Because we have not seen this sort of football for a long time. It suddenly feels like we've not started going up, but the ship stopped sinking. Momentarily, the ship has just stopped sinking.
Well, I'd say we're kind of floating. We've got to see a bit of Minshew mania in the horseshoe. Wasn't too bad. Completed 19 of 23. He's obviously not going to be the future, but I think he's a very good backup stopgap. Someone that can come into the game and manage it.
I think apart from, who was it? Was it Will Fries at centre?
Oh yeah, when he come in for Kelly.
Yeah, I think Will Fries and Gardner Minshew being the next Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning isn't a bad shout. What I can say about Minshew and what I liked is he didn't play like a backup QB. If that makes any sense, I think we've seen it from my best mate Sammy Slinger sometimes. When they come in as backup QBs, they sort of sink into a backup QB role rather than, I was looking at his body language and stuff, Gardner Minshew, and he seemed ready to go like, okay, I've got this. For it. Yeah.
And he does have a great moustache.
He has phenomenal hair. Anyone who's like balding off and needs to like go to Gardner Minshew and see what he does in the off season, because it just gets better with age.
No, definitely. And then just finishing up on the positions, the receiving core. So obviously we'll chuck in the tight ends and the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Pittman led the pack with 56 yards. It was 8 receptions off 12 targets. Obviously, Pittman was the most heavily targeted. Our guy Will Mallory, 2 from 2, got 49 yards. So I was surprised he didn't get targeted a little bit more. And I thought Josh Downs had a pretty good game as well.
Yeah, he come up with some. What I was impressed with Josh Downs, because he's really not the biggest guy. When you see him, he doesn't mind fighting for them extra yards, which is quite nice. I thought Pittman, a really good crack block on the second touchdown from Anthony Richardson. That's what he's good at. We know he's done that even from his Frank Wright days. From when he was drafted, he was always drafted as a blocking wide receiver, which sounds weird, but he's good at it. But for me, he needs to be more explosive. I think we find ourselves, Robert, in this wide receiver thing of who's going to grab that. And I know Downs has the one jersey, but who's going to grab that number 1 jersey? Who's going to grab that one spot? Because against the Texans secondary, you really need to be breaking free. You need to be explosive and be like, we are here.
Yeah.
I think there was one sort of deep post route Alec Pierce ran that Anthony Richardson just missed, but that might have been after the concussion hit, so I'm not sure if he's seen it, but I still didn't see enough separation for a beat-up Texans defense, which leads us to the old debate. We've had this debate probably since God knows how long. I mean, do we have a number 1 wide receiver, or have we just got a good number 2s?
I like Pittman. I think he does a lot in terms of not just the receiving game, but in terms of a lot of blocking schemes and setting up other people. I think he's an absolute dog. Someone I really like. But when you compare him to if we look at the Ravens coming up, they've got Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Aguilar. These are household names.
Yeah.
But maybe because we're not in a big market, that Pittman doesn't get that accolade. I think there's enough there. I think it would be nice to have 1 or 2 bigger guys.
Yeah.
But again, trust the process.
Trust the process. I like it.
As I say. So moving on to this week, because I think we didn't learn. I don't think you could learn too much from the Texans. I think it's just almost a gimme game. If you look at the AFC South, other than the Texans, are all 1-1.
Yeah,
I thought
Zach Moss did all right. Was pretty solid. Frank Gore-esque, sort of like he always fell forward. He didn't break off any major runs, but he always fell forward, which is what you need from a running back.
No other running back got yards for us. Obviously Moss now. He seems like the guy going forward.
Yeah.
Unless obviously the whole JT thing's still up in the air. And whatever happens. But we could be one of the games on Sky Sports this week.
We could. I don't think we are, because we're not a franchise team to say.
Yeah.
It'd be one of the one. Sky will definitely rig that poll, so it's the one that will get the most viewers. I don't think the I don't know. The Ravens tend to have quite a big following, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do. And I think Ravens have to be favourites.
And I suppose it is the derby, isn't it? If you look at it in that sense, it is Baltimore versus Indianapolis.
They might want to, build up the Mayflower, and try and build a. How Sky likes, it's Super Sunday, but it's Blackpool versus Bognor Regis. Yeah, they might try and build it up as
the derby of the coastal towns.
Yeah, I don't know how Bognor Regis is coming to my head, but I'm actually a little bit excited about watching the Ravens. How bad's that?
I don't think it's bad. I think we're excited to see what we can do again with no pressure on. If you think about it, the first game against the Jags was the last game of preseason. I always class it.
Yeah.
The first game against the Texans, the pressure was on us to win. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't know if CJ Stroud could have battled out and won a shootout with Anthony Richardson. I truly think Anthony Richardson was winning that battle. And then this is the first game where we're expected to lose, I'd say, or we're definitely not the favourite.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just their defence with Roquan Smith, Brandon Stevens, Judo Stones, who had a good game from what I saw last week. And they've also got Jadeveon Clowney. He's not really much to worry about, but certainly there's a few players there on the defense that are quite exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And I think when you got someone like Lamar, who pretty good with his feet, when you look at their running backs, again, it'll be quite interesting to see how our kind of front six, front seven cope with their running game.
It's interesting because
I'm almost getting myself excited about this game. Like I'm still in that camp of it's the Colts game, but I'm not there on the front foot excited yet.
I'm not quite on the I'm going to watch them through red zone vibe yet. I'm on the let's see what we've got. I think we don't have to get excited because we don't know what we've got, and I think it's okay just to not be like we need to win, or if we lose, this is the problem, or if we win, we're great at this. It's just just sit there and watch a quarterback who can actually. I mean, it doesn't look like he'll be playing this weekend, but a quarterback who can move with his feet.
Yeah, I do think it will be Minshew, but again, that brings a different flavour to the party.
Yeah. A couple of things I want to touch on then before we get into like our preview for the next game. What did you think of old Shane Steichen?
Again, I think it was hard because obviously he's put a game plan together for Richardson, and obviously he didn't get to execute that, so you got to give him the benefit of doubt. And again, it's still week 2, and I did say last week we'll give him up to kind of week 4 to see where we are.
Yeah.
But I think it's like you expect. There's some good, some bad, some trash. But yeah, just it was better than watching Frank Reich.
And that was it. You segued beautifully for me there, Robbie, because if I sent you a tweet saying Frank Reich is not giving up play calling and the play calling is not the problem, and didn't put a year with it, you would like think it was back to 2020.
Oh, absolutely. Get that vanilla playbook out.
In his post-match press conference for the
Fantastic.
Carolina, that was his exact quote: "The play calling is not the problem, and I'm not relieving play calling duties."
Oh.
And
copy and paste that. Just copy and paste.
Yeah, I mean, and the amount of comments from Colts fans saying like, "We love Frank, but this was the problem."
Yeah.
It's obviously he's a nice guy. I hope he has a good time in Carolina. But for me, for Shane Steichen, again, he sort of played his ego rather than the game, and it did get him a couple of times. It's like week 1, he was like, "I'm going to go for it on 4th down, no matter what, no matter where we are, we're going for it." And then just because that didn't work, he went, "Okay, no, I'm never going to go for it on 4th down."
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. But we've got the Panthers in November.
We have.
So that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's a clever play caller, Shane Steichen. I just think he needs to get out of his own head about trying to prove something. I think it's the same with Anthony Richardson. He doesn't have to prove anything, to me. He doesn't have to go, "I need to be QB1 or I need to be this head coach." Just let's get going in the right direction first, and then, like you say, we could talk about proving something and being something and doing something. That's all for the Texans game. Now the Ravens coming up. We've dabbled on it. I mean, for me in this game, like I said, I'm not expecting the Colts to win. I expect a good fight. I expect you to show up and do what you get paid for. But is it time we talk about Shaquille Leonard?
Well, I kind of brought him up last week.
Yeah.
Is it match fitness? Is it his knee? Is it mental? Is it, is it a name change? He hasn't been the same since he was Darius.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is the answer? You saw him when he tried coming back at the beginning of last year. You could see he'd go up and down, but there was no lateral movement for him whatsoever. So, but I'm just not seeing much in terms of this maniac, this game wrecker. But he's spoken a lot about obviously his mental health, and football isn't his priority anymore. And he's openly said that. I'm not pointing fingers or accusing him of not caring or not being there, but certainly, basically, mate, I'm waffling and have no idea.
I get what you're trying to say. He doesn't have to love football. He doesn't have to go home and care about it and watch every second of film. If that isn't what he wants to do, that's fine. You can still be great at what you do and not do that. A few soccer players, Ben White comes to mind. He openly said he doesn't watch football. He doesn't really care for it, but he's good at what he does. I think for me, for Shaq Leonard, it's a tough one because we need him to be that game changer. And, at the minute, EJ Speed and Sire Franklin are stepping up the best they can. But he's that elite level performer who takes that sort of second line of defenders from good to elite. Like when he's elite, that defense is elite. We've seen it. It's happened before. It probably will happen again. And I think, do you remember? You might remember this. About 2014-15 Arsenal team, Aaron Ramsey was scoring goal after goal after goal. He got like 15 goals or something. And then
scored for Cardiff last night.
Yeah. And then we played Stoke or something and he got his leg broke. And then he came back and he just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that, sometimes after a big hit or a big injury, players are just not the same. And he's not like playing scared or playing soft, but if you're on the field and you're not 100%, it's only going to cause a problem for the team because you're not concentrating.
Definitely, yeah. Just by week 6, you'd hopefully he'll be match fit and firing on all cylinders. We can look back then at just a little bit of rust.
Yeah.
And that's a hope. That's where I hope it kind of sits. We'll certainly know because they're gonna, Lamar Jackson keeps you busy there. As I said earlier, their run game keeps you busy, and obviously now they've got some household names at receiver. there's a lot of consideration, and that's when you need your leaders to step up.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are we looking at this game? Really, maybe not 3 and outs every drive would be nice.
Yeah, again, it's just progression. If I'm giving them to week 4, from jumping off the boat and swimming back to England. Again, it's just that progression, seeing more, seeing better. But if Anthony Richardson's out, you've got to give him a little bit more rope in terms of, right, we're not going to be able to execute what they want. This is the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're a quarterback, a punter, kick returner, safety. It's always the next man up, and this is why Chris Ballard gets paid the big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly on the hot seat, Chris Ballard. He has to be, right? There's no one else left to be on the hot seat. But I don't think I could say anything much more on the Ravens game, as in, I just want them to go out there and enjoy it. Like you say, if Gardner Minshew's playing, this is your chance to be like, I'm still here. I'm not just
want a starting contract in the NFL.
Yeah. The running back situation for me, JT's burned his bridge. I really don't care now. I think if we have to convince you to play, or we have to convince you to stay just because you think you're worth something, then nah. What I like, this is what I was going to try and say last week, but it was a shorter show, is what I like about, I know you don't like him, but what Arteta's done at Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's, if we have to convince you to play for us, you're not the right man for us.
Yeah.
You've hired your fake wannabe Shook Knight agent to go parading around on Twitter and demanding this and demanding that.
Yeah.
And Jim Irsay come out and said, you just have to trust us. You have to trust us. We paid Edgrin. They let Edgrin James's rookie contract go till last year, but they paid him. Throughout the years, the Colts have looked after the players, even after Andrew Luck got to keep his money.
Not bad, is it?
Not as that, So it's all well and good everyone saying Jim Irsay is the worst owner and just pay JT, but for me, no. I'd have him returning punts all year. Absolute cannon fodder. If we have to convince you to play and you want to, after a subpar year.
That's the thing, and it is the subpar year that.
Yeah. And
we'll see more this week. And if Zach Moss has another game like he did, we get rid of JT and let's get some picks for next year.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my last sort of rant on that. I hate keeping touching on it, but I see all he's training in the Colts facilities and this and that, and people going, just pay him, just pay him. No.
Yeah.
No. It's not how it works.
I get it. Yeah.
If you end up just paying people, you end up in a bad position as a franchise. And we've been in that position. We have been in that position with Grigson in charge.
Yeah. I thought we agreed never to mention his name again.
Anyway, okay, so the score predictions for the Ravens game.
30-28. I'm being positive.
For the Colts?
Yeah.
It's a big call. I like it.
No,
No, you can't change your mind now. I like positive, Robbie. I like it.
No. Let's be realistic. 21-18.
21-18 to the Colts.
To someone.
You know me. We're definitely going 2-0, 2-1, as Elliot might say. We're going 2-0. I think it's going to be a tight game. But do you know what? I think this is going to be the game where Minshew mania finally takes over. I think
let's not say take over. Let's just say he stakes a claim for a good contract somewhere else.
Yeah,
because we've got, Richardson has to be the future. He has to be the franchise guy.
Yeah, of course he is, but protect him as long as you can, right? He's only young. He's 21.
Oh, mate, I remember when I was 21.
Hangovers only lasted a day.
Just didn't get sober.
Yeah. So score predictions. I'm gonna go 28-10 to the Colts. Yeah.
Whatever you're on, mate, pass it over my way.
I love the positivity. It's all about the positivity. I just think when the pressure's off, you have more license to play. We need a strong start from the defense. If we get a couple of stops, a team full of, they are big household names, but a team full of egos start looking for fingers to point. They start pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the whole, you get them arguing amongst themselves, and we've just finally smashed and grabbed a win. Are we away? I don't know where it is.
Yeah. We're at at Baltimore.
Just like old Robert Irsay did, we go and smash and grab a win and get the hell out of Baltimore, which I can't blame him for.
Yep.
Mikey's here. Mikey always makes it to our show. Not sure our secondary play based on one. Not sure our secondary play based on what we've seen. God, I can't read, Robbie. Oh, Jesus.
Not sure our secondary play based on what we've seen will do well against the Ravens rookie Flowers. Yeah, I like Flowers. I mentioned him earlier on. I think they've got a lot of attention seekers there that would take our, you have to have someone on Odell Beckham. Obviously, he's not going to be playing every single snap, but because of who he is. Aguilar's, he's proven in the NFL. So again, you've got to keep your eyes on him. But then you need to keep your eyes on Lamar, because obviously he can break out. They've got two running backs again can break out. So that gives a lot of space time for Flowers. So I said I'm quite excited to see the Ravens and see what they can do. I've always taken a bit of a shine to the AFC North. The good games between like the Ravens and Steelers, they stay like legendary in my mind. Like thinking about some of the games, saying like Big Ben against Ray Lewis, and so there's always been a bit of a sweet spot for the AFC North.
Yeah, so if we look at it realistically, we know Gus Bradley likes to zone. He plays zone most of the time, but it's probably going to be Kenny up against Odell, I would imagine. In the man situations, and I don't know, man. It's just like I say, I feel like I don't want to get carried away, but there's a little. We're maybe at like between fallout static of an old TV to absolute nuclear warfare of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you know them things like you probably use one in science class or something, you put your hands on them, your hair goes fuzzy. I feel like we're at that stage of enthusiasm in a minute, It's starting to turn, friction's starting to build. So I'm just, I want to see Minshew enjoy himself if he is starting. The only thing I don't really want to see is just predictable play calling. That was one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
About a Frank Wright team is predictable play calling. I liked how Shane Steichen called the QB draws against the Texans. a fake to the end around and pulling tight end blocker, and it was just different. It wasn't just fake, snap it, pump fake, and then head down and run. It wasn't 4th and 1 and Jacoby. It was a QB draw with a mobile quarterback, which was nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's all I've got for the Colts. Anything else happening around the league, notably?
No, more injuries. There seems to be more and more injuries on Monday Night Footballs. A lot of them are trying to blame the AstroTurf and whatnot. It's just part of the game, isn't it?
I have Lamar on my fantasy, so I will soften the blow if they plan. So we need to hold them to 20 points if we win. A win's a win, and if you win twice, it's a double win. Injuries are a big talking point. I don't think that's just the NFL at the minute. 20 points less, yeah. I think that's a lot of sports. It seems to be getting more vigorous and longer games and longer seasons and more intense. But I think the Bengals are 0-2.
Yeah, but you can't worry about that too much at the moment, can you? Not until the first kind of 4 or 5 weeks are out. We've seen it a few times. How many times the Jets gone and won the Giants gone and won the first 3 games and then done nothing the rest of the season.
How many times have the Colts gone and lost the first 5 games and then gone and done nothing for the rest of the season?
The problem with media, especially American sports media, they like to sensationalize everything. So, someone has a bad loss and they're trash. Someone has a good win and they're going to go win the Super Bowl. It's very polarized. So I think we just need to just I want to be taking a step back till week 4.
Chubb did the same day in college. Hunt signed for him today.
Yeah, I saw Kareem Hunt sign for them. Rumors that they were going to pull the stops out for JT for the season, but obviously not with Kareem signing there.
I'd take Myles Garrett in a second for JT. I think that's fair. I think that's completely fair.
It is, mate. Right. So we've got a prediction team for Sunday. 6 o'clock kickoff, hopefully on Sky Sports. If not, it will be on a paid-for streaming platform. Wink, wink.
Design.
On whichever I can find it on. And then we'll meet back next Tuesday. I'm in Ireland next Tuesday, so I'll be doing it from a hotel room.
Ooh. What are you doing in Ireland?
Just work, mate. Nothing fun.
I'm sure you'll find a couple of Guinnesses to have.
Oh, mate, if I didn't have to knock the beer on the head 6 years ago, mate, I would absolutely be diving headfirst into it. I'd be swimming in it.
Anyway,
so we'll see how that goes.
Just like the Colts, Robbie's going international this year, and he will be reporting from Ireland after the Colts beat the Ravens on Sunday.
Mate, fingers crossed.
I can just start to smell the Super Bowl. Just smell it slightly. I can smell that confetti, the Gatorade, the color of the Gatorade.
Jesus! Right, Harrison, while you going off on a random fantasy, I will love you and leave you.
Yeah. See you later.
Cheers, buddy. See you later, Mikey. Bye bye.